Hello and welcome to episode 364 of the Awesome Comics Podcast, the place with a small press makes one hell of a big noise. I'm Vince Hunt, and joining me as always is the creator of the webcomic Vanguard, Dan Butcher.
Hello.
And, prepare for my best presenter voice, calling it live from TCAF 2022, is Tony Esmond.
Hello, it's 5:09 a.m.
It is. So he's not on the shop floor of a comic convention at the moment.
No, we did it early so I could record with you. Yeah.
We're not going to tell you what state of undress he's in. You'll just have to think about that for yourself.
Completely.
You did say you had it out on the pillow.
Yeah, I'm almost inside out. I'm that undressed.
Hang on, what?
You know?
I think he was talking about the laptop.
I was about to say.
I'm so naked, I'm inside out, babes. You know.
Oh, that is. I'm having a nightmare awake. I've never been so aroused. Welcome to the show, everyone. As you can tell, we are in different parts of the world, but the show's still here.
Tony's always close to our heart, so isn't he?
Yeah. Sometimes closer than we want. But yes, there's no guest this week. It's just us three. We've got some questions. We've got some comics talk, and probably, no doubt, a lot of laughs. We just felt like having a laugh this week and talking about comics and the joy of it. And we'll get a catch up on the adventure that is Tony. We've already heard a couple of stories that you'll never hear. So
there's a few more of those when I see you next time.
Yeah. That last one from Falpy made me laugh a lot.
That is the funniest thing ever.
Yeah. But if you want to know, then you'll have to just next time you see us at a convention, ask.
Only you can only ask if you buy one of our comics.
Yeah. Or if you check out our lovely sponsor, Comic House.
Yes. Oh no!
Comic House is the indie comic marketplace that loves indie comics as much as we do, and we love them quite a lot because we've done 300 plus episodes of this bloody show. But if you go to comichouse.com, you can see there's a huge selection of titles on the database. If you self-publish, you can add yours to the great database as well. It's being added to all the time. They have an amazing digital app, which is well worth checking out. There's loads of stuff being added to it. It's basically like Netflix for comics, so it's only like £3 a month. You get access to an enormous library of digital indie comics that you can read whenever and wherever you want, like when you're traveling, because now that most people are traveling again, there's more time to read comics.
I've been reading it on the plane. It's good.
There you go.
Nice.
So, what sort of stuff is on there at the moment, Dan?
We've got Tom Long's Post, issue 0, and newly uploaded, we've got Drawn and DUI Volume 1, Drawn Under the Influence. It's a 54-page large format comic book anthology. The project emerged from the community surrounding the Awesome Comics podcast. I've heard of them. During the pandemic lockdown, as a result of excess drunken enthusiasm at a Zoom-based ACP drink and draw event, which we're going to circle back to later in the show. It features 17 short stories on various themes, some funny, some sad, some a little near the knuckle, some batshit crazy by 26 talented creators, which I'm not going to list all 26 right now. But Volume 2 is currently in the works by our friend Eamon.
Yes.
That should be...
And the money goes to a female domestic abuse charity, doesn't it? The money, if you go and look at it on Comic House, you'll be raising money for the charity, which is good.
Yeah.
Because it's long sold out. I mean, it sold out very quickly.
Yeah.
This is the only way you're going to get it, really.
Yeah. So definitely check it out and help a good cause as well. And you can check out that and more on Comic House. There's a 14-day free trial as well. So go to comichouse.com today and find out more. And thank you to them, as always, for sponsoring this show.
Cheers, Pete.
Putting up with
week.
us.
Yeah. And helping us keep the lights on.
I'll mention this now because I'm trying to, in case I forget it later on the show, there's a drink and draw this Friday on June 24th.
Oh,
so
cool.
If you're about,
we're gonna try and join it from the Heroes floor on my iPad.
Wow,
that's the plan. So
that's good. That's a selling point.
Yeah, me, Adam, and Cliff are gonna turn the iPad on so that and have a chat and then turn it around so people can see what the convention's like over there,
fantastic.
like live. So that'd be quite funny. Yeah,
nice. So that will be Friday, June the 24th. At this Chucklehead, our lovely Tom Curry is the host with the most when it comes to these drink and draws. So contact him, find out more on our social media, etc. And join us on Friday. So without further, let's get stuck into it. Tony, how did they let you in?
Do you know what? It was, you'll laugh at this. So there's all this stuff you have to do around COVID passes and you've got to download an app if you want to do a wee these days, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know you had to do one for park your car to come and have a coffee with me the other day.
Yeah.
So we get all the way through. It's actually quite smooth at Toronto Airport, and they give you this. You have to go to the visa machine, and then it gives you this slip of paper that's the printer's like virtually you can't see it. It's running out of ink, and you have to show that on your way through. So some lazy dude sitting in a chair in customs, and I walk up and go hello like that, and he goes slip like that. So I give it to him, and he goes, "What are you doing in the country?" And I went, "Oh," and I was all enthusiastic, all friendly, and I said, "Oh, I'm here for a comic convention." He went, "Goodbye," and I just walked on. Yeah, welcome to Canada. Welcome to Canada. Yeah, yeah. So it was all right, but it was actually fairly smooth. Actually, getting in, it was all right. Yeah.
So this is for TCAF, which stands for, I believe, the Toronto Comics and Arts Festival. Is it? Is that what that stands for? Is that TCAF?
That's right.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just made that up.
Well done, you. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. So it's a 2-day event. We set up on the Friday because it's in a big library, like a massive, in the city in Toronto. There's this sort of 5-story library.
Yeah.
So it's actually free to get in because they didn't want to charge it. So there is a double edge to that because you'll be sitting there and there's all these comic people about, and then the mad people who sit in the library and surf porn, or far right extremism in the back of the library. They are sort of coming through shouting and stuff. So we've had a couple of like mad people walk past and shout at us and things. But on that, it's absolutely like super busy, and it's a lovely venue, really is. And then there's like a library shop that TCAF take over, and it's just like a massive comic shop.
Wow. Is this usually where it takes place?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. The venue, yes, it is. Yeah. So I think either the complete people who run it or the sort of co-runners are the people who run the local comic shop, which is the Beguiling, which we went to on the Friday morning, and that's a hell of a shop, man. That's just. Oh, we'll talk about that in a minute, maybe. What a shop! I was really impressed. Yeah. But yeah, so there's I think there's 3 levels with comic. Like tables, like stalls and stuff, and then there's sort of various talk rooms and signing rooms and stuff like that. It's a big deal for those who have been to LCAF. I'd put it as a big LCAF kind of thing.
Okay,
it's that sort of vibe to it.
Yeah,
it's
because we've heard the name quite a few times over the years.
It's kind of the name for indie small press, I think.
Yeah. And certainly there's a lot of people from the UK and Europe and stuff that do visit there as well, even though it is all the way over in Toronto.
Yeah. I know how Al Henderson's been over to visit.
Yeah.
I think
Nice.
He was asking me about it the other day.
So what is? I mean, we talk about comic conventions all the time and how they're set up and the vibe and you're in the midst of it as we speak.
Yeah, we're about to start our second day.
Yeah.
So we did the first day yesterday. Set up. It's a weird one. It's set up. When you do Thought Bubble, you can set up at like 6 p.m.
Yes.
The previous night or something like that.
Yeah.
The problem with this place is because it's a library, you can't set up till like 9:30.
Fuck. Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, so I got in there and it's really well organised. I'll be honest with you, like super well organised. And the Beguiling who run it, you can send your books to their warehouse, and then at 9:30, depends when you set up. The smaller tables have to set up at 10 p.m, but we could set up at 9:30. The staff at the TCAF will deliver your books to your table.
Oh, nice.
So they come around with a trolley. Well, they ended with a no-bro. They ended up on 4 trolleys, and because we had a big double table thing. But they said, "Oh, I've got your books here," and then you help them unload them off the trolley.
Nice.
You check they're there, and they say, "Oh, thanks a lot," and then they're like super nice people, like really friendly.
How long did it take to set up the table?
Oh, mate, hours. Well, we had a few delayed flights going in. So Neve, the commissioning editor from Nova, she was a bit late, so she was getting a bite to eat. So I started, and it took me half an hour just to undo all the boxes and see what was in each of them, And then we managed to all sort of muck in and get it done eventually. And then we sort of finished it up the following day. But it's a weird one because it's quite a hipster indie comic convention, but it opens at 9 a.m. Can you imagine trying to open hipster comic conventions in
surely they're
England.
surely they're queued up at coffee shops for hours.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a few empty tables, my friend. We even do you remember? We won't
Bloody
say
hell!
them,
Comic events that open at 11 normally have loads of empty tables.
I know. Well, do you remember those people near us at Thought Bubble who didn't get until like 12:30? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, there was bad traffic. What, in the mile it took you to drive from the hotel? It's like, yeah. But so we're on the ground floor. So there's a couple of bigger publishers. Silver Sprocket down there. Fantagraphics have got a big setup. Drawn and Quarterly are there. We're on and we're in this big square, but it's a bit like it was at Thought Bubble last year, where there's a lot of space behind the table, so you're not crammed in.
That's
nice.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And we're right next to the turnstiles to get in with the sort of first table you come to, and it is absolutely mad. It's so busy. We don't get a moment to breathe. To walk away. We were almost like at one point. Jake, who works in our American office, Jake Shapiro, he was sort of organising who could get away when, because we are so busy. So you had to like pick your time and then sort of leg it off and leg it back after grabbing a sandwich.
That's great though. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good, isn't it? Yeah. And we've got two people signing. So we've got they're both honestly cracking company. We've got Isabel Roxas, who I think has become my sidekick, who does a book called The Adventures of Team Pomp. Squid Happens, this sort of kids comic thing, which is great. She's a great artist and she's hilarious. So she's been signing all day and sketching and everything. So it's almost got that European vibe where you're sketching everything,
Yeah.
And for free. And then Alexis Deakin, who we know from Geish, we've repackaged those books. And then there's an extra bit onto them. And he literally, I said, mate, you got to get a break. You're drawing a figure, a character in the front of each book, and we couldn't restock the table quick enough. It was like, and these two guys really putting the hours in, and funny with it, just chatting to people was just hilarious, So I'm sort of stood next to Alexis so I'm doing like the adult end of the table, and Kelsey, who's another member of staff, is doing the sort of more flying eye books, like the Hilda stuff like that.
Okay.
She's down the other end of the table. But we left last night looking and thinking, where are we going to get more books from? This is really bare now.
Oh, shit.
It's just like an assault of people like queuing up, looking at books, chatting to us.
I want it to be a bit more quieter today, being it's the Sunday. But
maybe. Maybe.
Tell, can you?
Well, obviously, Neve said to me, Tony, are you going to be here on time? Because I know that you'll probably have to get to church, won't you?
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. So that's the ground floor. And also, there's a lot of little indie publisher distro people. So Eddie's got a table with a lot of new, really good stuff on there. He's got a new book out called Medal by Mark Wagner, which I read over breakfast yesterday. The advantage of sharing an Airbnb with Eddie is you get all his new products. I got in the morning and he'd left me a copy of the book on the chair to read, and that is outstanding. I really got to get you guys a copy by Mark Wagner. It's just this Shaky Kane. It's like Shaky Kane did a sort of noir burglar story. Just genius.
Okay, nice. That sounds great. Yeah.
A4. So he's got a table upstairs and Adam's on that table with him, sort of helping out. And it's all around so there's a big sort of central balcony that looks down to the main floor, if you see what I mean. So the balcony, it all has tables around it. But the guest list is probably not what you'd expect from a major con. That it's not really guest heavy. New York or even an MCM comic bit, you'd expect like a massive name, like John Romita Jr. or someone like that.
Yeah.
It's not that at all. I'd say probably, and this goes to show how long we've been running. Is one of the main guests is Tilly Walden. Yeah, I remember little Tilly, don't you?
Yes.
We did that interview and I accused her of being in Blades of Glory. And I haven't seen her, to be fair. I think she's been off doing signings, panels and stuff. Seth's there, so one big who I still haven't seen, but I do want to find him before I go because I like his stuff.
So you haven't had much of a chance to actually get out yourself and see the.
Not
con.
really, man. No, not have. Me and Neve dashed round so I can introduce her to a couple of people. Late yesterday afternoon, and I managed to literally leg it round at one point. More just to touch base with, see how the new Dirty Basement comics going and stuff like that. Benjamin Mara's there. don't know if you remember the variant cover we did for her too. So Benjamin Morrow is, I'm going to say, probably the biggest name in indie comics in the States at the moment, especially in sort of underground outlaw stuff. Massive line to get to his table, which was at the Fantagraphics table. Fantagraphics are the hottest guys out here. I really do think that, you know.
Okay.
They're the people that the more people like us aspire to be published by, I think.
Yeah.
And they've got some great books. Weirdly, just out of the blue, I'm standing at the table, and do you know that the artist Ryan Dunleavy? He did Action Philosophers with Fred Van Lente. Yeah. He comes over to buy a book. And I went, oh, right, you're Fred Dunleavy. I didn't know you were here. He went, no, I've got a table over there with Fred Van Lente. So they're both here. But obviously, Fred Van Lente is known for stuff like The Hulk and Archer and Armstrong and stuff like that. But he's more selling Action Philosophers and all those series that they did with Ryan. So they're both there. I've had a good chat with Ryan yesterday. I'd quite like to go over and meet Fred Van Lente. I've not met him before. Sean Crystal's here. I think those who know Ink Pulp Audio, he did a sort of podcast, great artist. And I got to spend some time yesterday with Ramon Perez from A Tale of Sand and many other things. He's done something. Tom Curry was saying he's done some Star Wars stuff as well. So I got you know how when I have photographs with creators, I like to do that as if it's like a fighting fist thing. Yeah. Didn't go down very well with someone walking past. You know, they were like looking at me, but I got a picture with him. He was good company, actually. Yeah.
What do you mean didn't go down very well? What are you doing? It's just
got a bit of a funny look because you know I do that thing where boxers do where they hold their fist up.
Yeah.
You know, I did that and they're like,
but normally you got a big cheesy grin on your face.
Yeah. Toxic masculinity, my friend. That's
can you ever get a photo taken with a boxer without the other person doing that fist up as well? So you've not done a day's boxing in your life, but hold the fist up. Like...
Send it to Al Henderson. He says, "Yeah, it does look like you're about to hit him."
Not you're gonna, but it can always happen. So don't.
Yeah. It's an interesting scene of punters. There's a few guys wandering around in, gig T-shirts and, Cerebus T-shirts and stuff like that. But it's a real mixture, mostly sort of 35 and under, I'd say.
Okay. I said about that whole pink cat lady with the NFTs. You were saying that people walk around with no to NFT badges.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few people with them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We were laughing at me because, look at my badge. Yeah, we said no to NFTs.
Yeah.
But look at my badge.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well done.
Stand on the front lines there, fucking fighting the good fight wearing a badge.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there's I almost got a bit broken yesterday by the oh my god crowd. I can't. Yeah, I can't bear that sort of anime enthusiasm thing,
Yeah,
but mostly a lot of people who want to talk to you about the craft and stuff as well. A lot of a lot of creators. There's a lot of people you'll get in a conversation, sell a book to them, they'll go, "I'm a creator too."
Yeah, I was about to say if there's creators who are.
I'm not sure this is a thorny issue, but Hamish Steele's Dead Endia went on Netflix with Dead End over the past couple of days. Is No Brow stock in Dead Endia?
No.
Okay.
No, we've got Pantheon, his previous book, but we're not stocking that.
Yeah. I wonder why they changed the name for Netflix.
I don't know why they did, because that is clickbait for a bad review, man. Netflix faces Dead End with new TV series.
I didn't think about that.
I've seen some of it. It's not my thing, man. And I don't want to be negative on the show, but definitely not my thing.
There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's just not your thing, which is fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if I was maybe a 4-year-old girl, it might be my thing. But
Only inside, Tony. Only inside.
Best thing to do is to tell people the stuff you don't like via social media. Always works.
Yeah, if you can. Yeah.
There's not enough negativity on social media, I find.
Yeah. I love people who might actually say I don't really like something, and then they get dogpiled by going, "You toxic hater." Well, I only sort of didn't like something.
Yeah. I mean, that's not corporations couldn't buy that kind of thing back in the day in the 80s. If you said Coke or Pepsi, I don't really care. But if you went, nowadays you said, Pepsi, I was, you scum. You fucking scum.
I stand for Pepsi. It's like that, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, God. So far so good then. T.
Yeah, man, I was fucking hanging yesterday, and then I'll talk about the comic shop in a minute because I think we had a little chat and we talk about what makes a good comic shop again, you know, because they're few and far between these days, aren't they? They are fast disappearing.
Yeah.
But the last night we went for a Ruby. I mean, by the way, I'm introducing Eddie to Cockney rhyming slang and the infinitely brilliant work of Danny Dyer, and he just looks at us, go, "What are you going on about?"
He's
so
not wrong.
He's not wrong. He's not. So we went to went for a Ruby, like lovely Ruby, like really nice and relaxing. You know,
this is a curry, by the way.
Yeah, Ruby Murray, and we had a curry. And it was just relaxing. You know, we'd had the busiest day, and you're just standing up all day and chatting to people. You know, your voice. You can hear it now. My voice is a bit done, and then Eddie goes, "Oh, what are we going to do? We're going to go to this spoken word thing," and we went. Right, we're at a comic convention. We're in another country. Let's go give it a go. So we went to this thing, which is in a sort of garden area, rooftop garden area thing above a pub, I think. It's about a 15-minute drive away. And it was people showing a guided view panel of their comic on a screen whilst acting out what goes on. Yeah.
I would fucking die doing that. I could not do that. Yeah.
You know what I'm like, man? I'm the most cynical man in the world, aren't I? So I go thinking, I'm in another country. I'm going to give it. And the first two were a bit ropey. You know, the first two, I'm taking pictures of Adam's face during it, you know, because I thought it was funny. And so I watched it. And then the third one was actually okay. And I kind of thought, right, cynical, Tony, off you go. Let's just enjoy this for what it is, you know. Yeah. And I thought, this is all right, man. This is okay. If this is, and the crowd will whoop in and clap in and stuff. And I thought, if this is what we need to get people to read a comic, I'm down.
Fine.
You know?
Yeah.
And it was, maybe this is my holiday head talking, but I thought, yeah, this is all right.
Okay.
And we had a chat to that. All of us almost agreed completely in the car about it on the way back. We thought, no, that's okay. I'm okay with it. Yeah.
It's kind of a strange format because that's not really how comics are supposed to be consumed.
Exactly. And the dude doing it clearly had done it many times before, and he had little sound effects added to his PowerPoint and stuff, you know.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, and like, you know, with street noises and, you know, it was a funny one. It was very hipster, but it was also taking a bit of a piss out of the hipster crowd there, and yeah, it was. I'll have to send you the name. I can't remember the dude's name. Yeah, one of us could remember could say they'd seen his stuff before. I hadn't seen him before. But the other thing it did do, and what is the convention is highlighting to me, is the fact that, I mean, we've been, 7 years now in this, you know, and we were all looking at small press before that because it's the reason we did it. So if, you know, and, you know, I've been tabling small press for 20 odd years, but there's so much we don't see, you know. So this was this Toronto art collective, all who had comics. I'm like, I don't know any of these guys, you know, really. There's so much to explore that we just don't see at all.
That's the beauty of it, though, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it really is.
Every country, every community, you know, they have their own communities there,
and they're doing it for the purpose of doing art. There's a lot of that at TCAF, which I really like. And I think if you're doing it for the purpose of making money, and it's not like pulling loads of money in. Making money is nice, but not, you know, just trying to become the biggest capitalist in the world, or if you're doing it just to like get attention from the big two. I mean, we've become a little jaded to that, haven't we? We kind of see that coming.
Not much,
but But the people who are making comics just to enjoy them and make good art and make good comics and make something that's interesting, these are the people we're not seeing because they're not, you know, messaging us 4 times a week asking to come on the podcast, you know. To talk about their Kickstarter or something. That's what I like about this crowd. You know, sure, there's some tweet stuff. Sure, there's some up their own anus stuff. But, you know, if they're making this stuff, I kind of dig it, you know. Yeah. Look at me in my holiday nice head. Normally I'd just be shouting.
Yeah, you've been nice there.
You know? You've just woken up. That's
yeah, I have, yeah. Give me time. Yeah.
To revert to your natural form. But you also, of course, you pop to a comic book shop.
Yeah, we've done 2 now.
Okay.
There's one that John Otway sent me details of, so we're probably going to do that Monday. Okay. But one was the first one we did. So long story short, we went to the Beguiling. The Beguiling is the big comic shop worldwide. It's the one people want to be in. Yeah. You know, so we get there and there's a dude cleaning the windows, and it's 11 o'clock, which is when it meant to open. And I said, "Oh, hello, mate. Are you open today?" Yeah. I went, are you open today? Just through the window, and there's like a window, you can look in. And I thought, okay. And we looked at, so we sent them a message on Instagram, and they said, oh no, we're only open for pickups, like curbside pickups, because it's still quite mask heavy here,
Okay.
And we said, oh, okay. And then they actually opened because of TCAF. They said, oh no, we're going to open. So we ended up going back. But between those two times happening, we went to a local one, which is very much a Funko new comic kind of one, but good, but nice. And there was a sort of Remainders bookshop across the road, which had a load of graphic novels in it, so we popped into there as well. And then we went to the Beguiling yesterday morning, and I honestly think it's my favourite comic shop in the world now.
Ah, okay.
I genuinely think it's got everything you want in a comic shop. So it's a big one, massive upper floor, ground floor is 3 separate rooms. You go in, and you've got on the left, you've got kind of, like Daniel Klaus vinyl toys in a cabinet and stuff like that. There's a load of OA on the walls. They had some Benjamin Moira on the walls. They had some Essex County art on the walls and that sort of thing. And then you've got a massive small press section, to such a point where they've got small press long boxes to go through for stuff they can't fit on the shelves.
Nice.
And then the new weekly comics, a big section of that. It's not as if it's ignored. It's on the first floor.
God, I went in a comic book shop yesterday. It was just a small Forbidden Planet, and the new books were right at the back of the shop.
Yeah, they are,
almost in shadow. Do you know what I mean? It's weird.
Yeah. And then they've got a almost like you have to walk. This is like a corridor of shelving, which is graphic novels, and then a shelf of like another one, which is all trades, but also artist editions, omnibus, hardbacks, that sort of thing. A room that's is a massive room that's half filled with manga, so that it's the hotness still over here as well.
Yeah.
Another room that's got artist editions and other stuff like that in there. And then the downstairs, which I sent you a picture of, is just a massive room of long boxes.
Yeah.
And shelves of rare trades and stuff like that. And I could have spent the whole of my week here in that room, going through. Look at these boxes. On they had like National Lampoon and all the EC comics and Warren magazines, and like they had 4 or 5 just boxes of underground comics, and stuff like that. But all like the old Marvel stuff. I bought some Kirby Thor for, I think it was 10 quid. Bloody hell, really cheap.
That's great.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been to a comic shop outside of the UK. Have you, Vince?
Yes. So I went to Midtown.
Oh, you went to New York,
Midtown, Comics, which I had in my head was going to be more than it was, and it's good. It's a good little comic book store, but I don't know, when you hear. That's the thing, is when you hear stories from people about, this comic book store is this, that, and the other, you paint a picture in your head. And of course, I had this, and it's my own fault, really. I painted this picture of some huge, like Tony's describing here, huge mecca with like huge rooms of long boxes and this, that, and the other. I pictured that, Tony, and when I went into Midtown, which is a great comic book store.
Not trying to do it down.
Yeah. But because it wasn't what I was expecting at that time, I suddenly realised, of course, it's just a shop. Because they are also at the same time. You know what I mean? We like to big these up about whole experiences, but they have to be working shops at the same time. You know what I mean? It's a working store.
Yeah, Midtown's a funny one because it's for the Wednesday Warrior, Midtown, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got a lot of stock in there, but it's a little soulless, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. Some bit. Definitely.
Okay.
But the one you're describing, Tony, that sounds like.
God.
Pour
so
over
much
some
stuff.
long boxes.
Yeah, so much stuff I'd never seen before. That sort of thing.
I'd love to go somewhere like that.
Yeah. We could spend we would have spent all day in there, guys. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's currently sort of closed.
Well,
normally
they're now open every day of the week because of TCAF. Obviously, people have travelled in.
Yeah.
But I think they do 2 or 3 days a week closed, and then you can go and collect some stuff through the window. Like your weekly pull list. Up and say, I'd like this. This Joe Kubert Artist Edition, do you have it? And they'll bring it to the window. I think there's a bit of that going on.
That seems quite alien to us now in the UK.
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it?
To me, at least, yeah.
Yeah, all the shops are masked, and probably I should say that TCAF was masked, so it was masked today.
Yeah.
We did that in. It's not too bad, but it's not the most pleasant of experiences. Like conversing with people with masks on all day.
Yeah, and we're next to the entrance, so we can just dip out and go and get some air. So it's not too bad.
Yeah. But people should, if you're worried about it, still mask up.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah,
I got no problem with it.
It's not gonna. Berate someone in public for wearing a fucking mask.
Exactly.
No, yeah. There's the odd person who walks around without a mask on, and you kind of see in their eye they're almost like trying to show off a bit, you know.
Okay.
Just put a mask on. It makes other people comfortable as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's what this whole thing's about, isn't it, mate? How, you're not just thinking about you. You're thinking about other people.
Yeah.
So, what did you think from that comic book store that, because you've been to many comic book stores, and for you to say, I think this is my favourite comic book store ever. What did that
I think it was the staff. I think genuinely
really?
what it was is when I bought stuff, when I walked in, everyone said hello. When I was looking at stuff, people would comment on what I'm looking at. Oh, we haven't got any of that. We've got these other comics, but you might have to let us know and we'll look them out. It's like that.
Okay.
I think it was Adam already. I can't remember. They bought a comic and she went, I didn't know we still had this. That must have come out of a deep box, And then when you go downstairs, and I don't mind this. They said to me, "Oh, can you leave your bag while you're downstairs?" So they're not accusing you personally of doing anything,
No.
It's just, and the dude, I said, "Oh yeah, no problem." And then I was talking to him about comics, and he talked to me for ages about comics.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well, this is brilliant. When do you get that?
That's great.
Difference in pricing from the UK, and what was I looking for, and have I heard of this, and recommendations.
How was the pricing difference?
The back issues, man, are God. I mean, I think the Jack Kirby Thor I bought would easily be 40-50 quid in the UK, I'm guessing, and it was just over a tenner, I think.
You have to watch that
in English money, it was like 9 quid.
You have to watch that fucking weight limit go back. I
know. Do you know there's so much here I would have bought.
Could you just do the old ship it back? Didn't Falpy do that for his comics?
We're thinking about that. Yeah, we're thinking about doing something maybe around that. But basically, if we don't, we're just going to sell out and give the rest to the distro or something like that.
Yeah. What is the what's the journey been like for your comics? Are they making a showing around TCAF, or is it more?
I'm not selling Hidden Lives at TCAF, although I've given a few copies to people and stuff like that who are friends.
Yeah.
In fact, Alexis was very complimentary about it. It was really nice of him. And we've got Dirty Basement on the Strangers table, so that's our other comic company. I think it's going pretty well. Yeah, it's going all right. But we're really going to properly put them on show at Heroes next week. But we've had to ship out. So because we're meeting Cliff at Heroes, we've shipped our comics to Cliff out there, and he's bringing them down for us. And we shipped some to the Airbnb here, which makes it easier. Because, if you turn up at the airport with a box, I mean, essentially we're just tourists visiting,
Yeah.
That's all we are. And I'm helping out on a table, it's not as if we're making a business of it. And we didn't really want the complication of saying, oh, right, all this business stock, we're going to impound it to make sure you pay duty and stuff like that. And it's not really what it's for. We're not making money out.
Yeah.
So it's been all right, but it's more down to Adam planning ahead and shipping stuff out,
Got a nice one.
And we only just got in under the wire with Dirty Basement, so it only arrived in time to ship it. So it was pretty good.
So what the next? So after TCAF, you're to Heroes, is that right?
Yeah. So we've got Monday here, sort of day off, doing our washing, and then going to hit the plane Tuesday morning to fly down to the US. So we're in Canada, so we've got to go over the border again, do all our COVID testing again, and all that sort of thing, and then go to Charlotte, which is North Carolina, which is where Heroes is, which I think actually is. I didn't realize it's a city on the surface of the sun. Because it's so hot there.
It'd be literally like sprinting from aircon building to aircon building.
I think that's going to be it. Yeah, changing my pants. It's like, yeah. So we're preparing ourselves for that. So we'll see what happens. But you've had a heat wave over there as well, haven't you?
Oh God, just
not
pleasant. Yeah, our lovely listeners out there, we hope you're doing okay wherever you are in the world, however the weather is. Because I am a very pale boy.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing we were saying about you and me. We're both like almost like our skin's like translucent.
Yeah.
With that, yeah.
So if I don't put
my productivity just goes through the fucking ground when it's too hot. I'm just sitting there like, and you think, come on, do some fucking work, you twat.
It's weird because it was so baking hot. Yeah, I know what you mean. It was so baking hot on the first day. Where we're staying is you just leave the air conditioning of the Airbnb and it's just hits you, in the face.
Yeah.
The heat. And also we're in an area there's like some, I'm going to call it a hotel, but I think it's for mad people next door. So there's all these people lying on the floor and screaming. And also cannabis is legal in it's almost like cannabis is big business in Toronto. So everywhere smells of weed. And I hate the smell of weed when it's like really hot. It's just awful.
Yeah.
And there's a diner across the road. I vaguely call it a diner. It's more like they just sort of burn burgers and hand them to you, And so we jumped in there to have a cold drink while we were waiting to get the key, and it was just some bloke screaming from the toilets. It's like I'm painting a picture of just like hell on earth in this like little junction around full of crazy people. But yeah, the heat was just awful. Yeah.
Oh god. Have you ever wondered what cannabis once smelled like? Just walk up and down Barrow High Street a couple of times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we will get the feedback about Heroes Con when Tony is back with us on the 3rd.
Yeah.
Yes.
3rd of July.
I've got an interview for you next week, haven't you? I've done a sneaky interview.
Yeah, there's an interview next week that we won't spoil just yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad you got there all right, and they haven't impounded you.
It's time yet, my friend.
There's time. There's time.
I was chatting to Eddie because Eddie distributes Atomic Hercules, and the fourth one, the weapon mass destruction one, got a bit, let's call it lively. And last night he was going, "How are you not cancelled?"
I guess you can't cancel those and give a shit about it.
Exactly, but it's nice being with someone who knows a lot of the American scene. So it would be the same with someone from America coming to the UK and us, introducing to people. It's nice like that. We get to meet lots of people. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah. So then, we put a shout out because we're just having fun and doing whatever, and we're just having a bit of a natter. And obviously, Tony is up at the crack of dawn, so we didn't want to be messing about.
Push too much,
guess, or do too much.
5:45 now, isn't it? T, what time's breakfast?
I've got to be in the hall at about 8:30. So,
do you go out and get breakfast? I guess they don't do it in the B&B.
Yeah, it's about half hour walk to get there, but there's like a 24-hour breakfast place next door. It's lovely.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So before he goes off to get his pancakes and I was about to say beer, that would be a weird combination.
You baby. Yeah.
We put a shout out to our lovely listeners on the social media for some questions, some fun questions.
Yeah.
So before we get on to the shout outs and the recommends, etc., we're just going to see what the listeners have asked us this week. We haven't done like a proper Q&A episode for quite some time. They used to be a thing a few years ago, didn't they?
Yeah, we do it all the time, didn't we? Yeah.
But yeah, let's just start with, first, let's say once again, because one of the questions was at this chucklehead, who said, "Got a question for you, lovely lot. When's the next drink and draw?" As Dan said, we're just going to make sure that we
hammer that home.
Hammer that home. It's this Friday, June the 24th, at around 7:30 UK time, which is GMT, isn't it? Is that what that is?
No, BST, isn't it?
BST. BLT.
So you can turn up, you can drink, you can draw, you can do neither. You can just join in and
It's 7:30 PM BDSM.
Yeah. Let's start off with this one. This is mentioned him once before, but our buddy Al Henderson of the Penguin at Shadow 1972. Do you know any jokes that are clean enough for me to use?
I don't know any clean jokes. He knows this for a fact.
I do.
Go on.
Oh God, I'm going to tell this terribly. A man goes to a yoga instructor, and he's like, I just want to start taking up yoga, and the yoga instructor says to him, "All right, well, how flexible are you?" And the man responds, "Well, I can't do Tuesdays." That still makes me laugh. I'm smiling. No one can see it, but I'm smiling.
Might see that in a penguin.
I think that does sound like a penguin one.
Yeah.
I did get told one, but it's not. You couldn't ever use it in a penguin, or it's not.
We'll say it on air.
Can you say it on air, Dan? Because
I think so.
You're the spicy one.
No, it's not too. It's not too bad. It's just a general kind of a blue joke. There's a guy. He looks out these windows to his back garden, and there's a great big fucking gorilla, like in the tree down at the bottom. He's oh fucking hell. So he looks in the yellow pages, and there's a guy that says, "I'll come out and deal with gorillas in the tree." So he goes, he gives him a call, and the guy comes round, and he comes in. I've got to get this right. So he puts on the table. He's got a shotgun, a great big bat, a net, and this fucking savage dog. He goes, "What the fuck's all this for?" He goes, "Well, I go up in the tree with a bat, smash the gorilla out. As soon as the gorilla comes flying out of the tree, whoever comes out of that tree first, that dog, are going to try and tear its testicles off. When it's doing that, you throw the net over it." He goes, "Oh, all right then." He goes, "Well, what's the shotgun for then?" He goes, "Well, if I come out of the tree first, shoot that fucking dog."
We don't condone violence.
No. With gorilla and canine violence.
And
I don't know you'd work that into a penguin.
That's a long one. That's a Sunday supplement.
Yeah. I've got one more for any of you video game fans out there who might recognise this. I'll ask this to Dan. Dan, do you know what Mario's favourite fabric is?
I don't know.
Denim.
Nice.
Anyway, so you got three absolute corkers there. Yeah. We're gonna laugh to ourselves about those jokes for quite some time.
I've got a smutty one I can tell.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, go on. Okay. Can you honestly tell it on the show, Tony?
So there's a bloke who runs like a general store in Deptford, and it doesn't matter, it can be anywhere. And he goes, so he's got this new lad working with him. He says, "Listen, son, I'll show you how to sell stuff." And a bloke comes in. He goes, "Can I have some grass seed, please?" And he goes, "What's this, son?" "Yeah, it's some grass seed. You probably, how's your lawnmower doing? You probably want a lawnmower, don't you?" He goes, "You know what? I think I do need a new lawnmower." Sells him a lawnmower as well. So the kids think, this is brilliant. And the next bloke comes in and he goes, "Can I have some Tampax, please?" And the bloke goes, "Yeah, no problem." He says, "You probably want a lawnmower as well, won't you?" And he goes, "Why would I want a lawnmower?" And he went, "Well, your weekend's fucked, isn't it?"
Yeah, fair play. That was good. Yeah, we can keep that one in.
Okay.
Anyway, there you go. Just comedy gold. That was the comedy gold hour.
We're not doing a telling a joke sequence every week.
No, we're not doing that.
I only know about 2 jokes.
Oh dear. Right. Okay. Next up, Simon Russell at Simon at Boeing. This is one that's.
This is a tough one, man.
This is a tough one.
Not for me.
Your house is on fire, and you've rescued all the pets and kids, but your partner is still inside. Which one comic do you run in to save after you get your partner out? And which is the one comic you rescue before you get them out?
I think he's playing on the fact that one of my running jokes is I occasionally tell people that my wife's died because it cheers me. She rang me yesterday and I answered the phone and said, "Oh, I thought you were dead."
No. Cool. I got to say, I've got like all the comics I've made on a hard drive. That would be the fucking number one priority.
That'd be your own comics, you mean? That's what you'd save.
My own comics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Like the other stuff is kind of replaceable, but that I can't. So
yeah, I think that's the best answer, Dan. I think
there's no. Yeah. If that was you'd got them out anyway. Obviously.
Yeah.
I think it's a funny one, isn't it? Because a lot of people say, "What's my most valuable comic?" But honestly, it's really the comics that I loved as a kid. I think I would probably try and save.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's definitely, and of course, family always first as we're looking over our shoulders.
Yeah. So the Avengers and the X-Men.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always the family. The family books you get first.
Yeah. Joe or Stormforce.
Well, actually, I have been scanning those, so I'll take that there on the hard drive. So
there you go. Yeah.
I'm a winner.
You got them in the cloud.
Yeah.
You got them in the cloud, my friend.
Now the other half's battling to go inside and get the photo albums of the wedding or whatever, something similar.
Like, look at the second drawer down. That's where my hard drive is. No, not that hard drive.
Yeah.
That was there when we moved in.
Yeah.
Delete my search history.
Yeah, that is probably the thing that most men would do. They run into a burning house, power up their computer, and burn.
Yeah, it's just the flames are lapping their ankles. Yeah,
and it's like, come on.
How do I reset this Mac?
God,
Skin's peeling off in rolls.
Yeah, I haven't cleared this browser history in years. It's taken ages.
How'd you download C Cleaner? I don't know how you do it.
I tell you, that's a real tough question, Simon. I struggle with that.
I'd go for the early stuff that I loved as a kid. That's what I would do. Maybe a couple of the treasury editions that I got that my dad bought me, and just the images in there are just burned into my retina.
There's some sort of older books. I think maybe like I've got a really I've got an old sort of Captain Britain graphic novel, which is out of print. It's not the traditional one that Marvel just churn out now, the Alan Moore type one. It's an old school sort of graphic novel before graphic novels properly became popular. Yeah, and things like that, just the ones that's like, can't get these anymore, like this sort of thing. So it's things like that. I also learned yesterday that Alan Davis, one of my favourite artists, has exactly the same birthday as me, and I know it's not a major thing, but that really fucking made my day.
Well, that actually proves that astrology doesn't work, because the other person is Shaky Kane, and I can't think of two people less alike than you and Shaky Kane. Yeah.
And
all
Paul
due
McCartney.
respect to Shaky Kane. No, okay.
Yeah, Paul McCartney as well. What a room that would be.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
we were all in a room together. Anyway,
sexy room.
Yeah, indeed. All right. Let's bring it down. Let's focus it. Joey Oliveira, Afterlight Comics, who is absolutely smashing it. He's churning out. He is. He's a machine. I said that to you earlier, didn't I? Yeah. The Afterlight Comics brand is one you definitely need to, if you like horror comics or just comics in general.
Proper horror as well. None of this sort of soft focus horror.
Yeah.
This is like proper horror stories.
And he's got extra things with it. I think there's like collectible cards. Have you seen the packs for his like collectible cards that they've done recently?
Yeah, they're great. They look great, don't they?
Yeah.
No, I've not seen those.
He's got like proper foil packs for the Afterlife.
That's awesome.
Afterlight cards trading. Is it trading cards or is it game cards? Apologies, Joey. But certainly, I think he did a Top Trumps type game as well, didn't he? Or something like that. That's what
okay.
Loads of stuff. But anyway, Afterlight Comics, definitely check it out. Especially they've got a new Kickstarter coming soon. It's all about slashers, which is going to be amazing. But his question was, what, if anything, do you think indie creators can do to bring more readers from the mainstream into the indie scene? It's the eternal question, isn't it, really, in some ways? How do you grab the attention of the people that usually, if it's a mainstream audience, I think you're probably going to have a better time with a mainstream comics audience who are comics readers, because a mainstream audience who are people who just like the movies or come in, things like that, they only want one sort of thing. They'll only want that Deadpool, or they'll only want that Harley Quinn or something like that. They're not. It's something you do sort of see at MCM that some people are very tunnel visioned.
They're sort of entrenched in their position, aren't they?
Yeah. I like this. I'm only going to get this, which is fair enough. You like what you like. Just don't be a bellend about it. But I
think use the word bellend, by the way.
Thanks.
I'd like to think every comic reader has kind of like got it in their heart to appreciate a good comic, regardless of the stripe. I would like to think that.
Yeah, but and I think most comic creators and certainly people listening to this show, they've got comics and product that if you just give it a shot, you'll really like it. But it's that enticing people over to your product without the hard sell. Because I don't think how is the hard sell scene these days? I found over the past a couple of years, I've hated it more and more. Does that make sense? I've really sort of stop it.
Yeah, there's a guy near one of the tables, a pal of mine, and he's doing the nice T-shirt. Have you thought about my comic? You're the sort of guy I'd like one like this. Oh God, it just makes me want to shrivel up and die.
It's the second half of that I think is not needed. I think there's engagement. Oh, that's an awesome T-shirt, and but these are people who are not even at the table.
Right, okay.
He's almost calling out to people. Yeah. I think you're right, man. If someone comes over and they're wearing a Nine Inch Nails T-shirt, and you go, "Oh, I love Nine Inch Nails. I like their second album," and just chatting to them.
Yeah,
as long as it's genuine.
Exactly.
Just that you're kind of being like, "Oh, Nine Inch Nails. I really like those guys."
And I've said it before, man. I'll say it again. That thing about putting a book in your hands, I hate it so much. I hate it when they almost force a book into your hands.
No.
Yeah. To hold it. Well, no, just have a look at it. No, here you go, hold it. It's like that.
Yeah. The signs
building up social pressure, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we were talking about this last night. It's a big thing. I think you sell a book and retain a reader if you do it through a nice conversation and enthusiasm for the book. But if you sell a book by just forcing it on them, they're not coming back.
It's like
they'll avoid you.
Yeah. You walk into any shop, and sometimes you. Like I say, you go to the. I mean, it's not just comics, but you go to buy something, and you have someone strikes up a conversation with you, only like 30 seconds, and you buy the things and walk away, and you think, oh, they were nice.
Yeah,
it's a positive experience, isn't it, for the consumer?
Yeah. Like you said, if I got guilted into buying a book like that, I would have it held in disdain. I would just like, oh god, I remember that time I got fucked over and bought this shit.
I'd almost look at it and think, oh, it give me a bad memory of buying it.
Yeah,
sometimes I won't even read it.
Yeah. What marketing options are open to us? I mean, we're talking about immediate at conventions sort of experience here, but what other marketing options are available to indie creators?
This is what I beat my fucking head in over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think one of the big problems, guys, is we are in the comic making scene, the small press scene, the indie comic scene, and also the convention scene. We are distancing ourselves from the people who are the weekly comic buyers. They're almost becoming a little dejected, because they're, you look at all the big comic conventions, you've got the MCMs and stuff like that, which, to be fair, do have back issue stalls, but aren't really designed for the comic collector. And you've got the other stuff that is more probably akin to us, which tends to be small press shows now.
Yeah.
You might get someone who will pop into a thought bubble because they're a comic reader and have been buying comics for years, and it's local. And there might be, a John Romita Jr. or somebody there, a Scott Snyder or something. But we're not really building comic conventions or communities for people who buy and read big comics anymore. It's almost becoming two scenes. And you see that especially at the Comic Mart. Those dudes at the Comic Mart who are in there and like ravenously buying big parts of comics are not the guys we see at UK comic conventions.
Totally. No. Yeah.
And we need those guys. They're the guys who love the medium. They're not like in it because it's a phase. They're not like in it for 5 minutes because they think it's cool because it happens to be cool at the moment or something.
Well, their phase has lasted fucking 40 odd years.
And also they're collectors.
Yeah.
So
they want to. You're doing a series like Vanguard. They'll buy issue 1, they'll buy issue 2. It's like that.
Yeah. If you can sell them into your series, they'll keep coming back.
And something like Joey needs to, all the old school Eerie, EC. Scream, he needs to attract those guys as well.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing them at comic conventions.
No, it's that question we keep posing. Fuck knows what the answer is. I really struggle how to market your stuff like that and get it into the hands of the people who want it, because I think they're out there.
Yeah. Because when I first started tabling with small press in like the late 90s, early 2000s, we were like a little table amongst a load of back issue sellers, Marvel creators, Marvel editors, that sort of thing. And we're almost like a little bit of a curio. But now it's just a sea of us now. It's a whole different thing.
That's that whole thing with that kind of like Kickstarter doing something they didn't like, so we're not going to Kickstarter. So you're fucking cutting your nose off to spite your face, because that's got such a broad fucking reach. People just seeing your comic.
That's the biggest shop front for us at the moment, Kickstarter. And to a certain element for perhaps a different crowd, Indiegogo.
Yeah.
I think one thing about this as well is sometimes being a real genre book can work in your favour because you have another avenue. One of the things about genres is there is then a community around that genre. Like to take horror, for instance. There are horror websites. There's all kinds of horror avenues that you could possibly try and seek out and sort of say, have you checked out this? And it's not, and guaranteed there's probably someone that's going to be a comic reader there. And
so going forward, if you was going to make a comic, would you have it in mind, like, right, I've got to kind of cross these kind of genres to get the most out of the most people seeing my comic?
I think the important thing is write the comic you want to write.
Yeah, make a good comic. That whole, you see these people trying to break in, don't you? You sort of just pick about 4 genres because they think it's going to make them popular.
Yeah.
And I think that doesn't.
I think the first thing you got to just make your comic, and then afterwards it's the puzzle to try and figure out. And certainly, I think maybe if you're doing some abstract underground narrative, a dreamlike narrative, yes, there's not an abundance of websites to talk about that.
No.
But but there's certainly people who are into that sort of thing.
Yeah, so, there was a guy at the table yesterday who just was giving me like a history of Canadian abstract comics. It's his own little scene. But no.
What about the artist who does the Peeper? What's the guy's name again? Is it Patrick something?
Pat Sparrow. I've just messaged him actually to try and meet up today. Yeah.
I mean, like, he fucking does, from what I can see, does really well. And like, he doesn't cross genres, does it? He's completely underground comics. That.
Yeah. He's wearing a black Ku Klux Klan hood.
I did see that.
Yeah.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
For those, it's ironic, and he's taking the piss wearing it. But yeah, he is quite funny. I'm desperate to see him today. I didn't get a chance to get to see him yesterday. Yeah.
So yeah, there's no sort of wrong or right answer, I think, here. I mean, Joey's got a fantastic audience that keep coming back for his stuff anyway, because his Kickstarter's always on point. He's learnt so much. He's been a guest on this show a couple of times. Definitely go back and listen to those episodes.
Must get him on again, man, because he was good company. I like him a lot.
But it's sometimes the mainstream is such a strange word as well, isn't it? Because sometimes it feels like the mainstream doesn't care. Does that make sense? Especially like about certain comics, it
doesn't seem to care about its own comics sometimes.
Such a strange time. Really is.
It's fascinating. But if there are any sort of avenues, if anyone's seen any other potential sort of avenues for people to flag up, whether it be, social media is shouting into the void. I think it's probably refining and like sort of zoning in on your base audience or who you think your audience is. And you know who your audience is because it's you, because you've made this comic book.
Yeah.
If you're making a comic book for someone that isn't you, then why have you made it? Do you know what I mean? And that's not to say, it can be any genre, but at the end of the day, you've got to think, what would win you over?
Yeah. And if you think, I don't know, bloody Pokemon's popular at the moment, I'm going to do my version of a Pokemon comic, you're probably barking up the wrong tree, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're always behind the fashion as well with stuff, I think.
Yeah.
So when stuff is at its peak and people notice it, is not the time to make a comic.
Yeah. It's a tricky one because also the comic, we mentioned this before, but the time of getting an idea for a comic and getting it into print can be a long time. So if you think, look, zombies are popular, by the time you get it into people's hands, that's going to be months down the line.
And peak popular things now move on so quick. Societal popular things move on so quickly and almost rotate quickly. We put a book out about it's called The Art of Drag, and I actually think we put it out a year too late. It's not a bad seller, but I think if we put it out at the height of like Drag Race and all that sort of thing,
it is kind of like it's still popular, but it's nowhere near as like it was on a real upward like spike. But you're right. Yeah.
Definitely.
What's the thing we should get into now? Fuck knows. I'm so divorced from pop culture at the moment. I don't know what.
Gorillas in Trees. That's the next popular.
Yeah. Our pal Edison Neo, he said, if it's your last day on Earth and you're allowed to read one comic, which is a floppy or a graphic novel, what would it be? Tony, you must have a go-to. You must have an immediate.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? This Man, This Monster, Fantastic Four.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, I think that one, I read it in Treasury Edition when I was a kid, and I did a podcast with Eamon about it, and me and him just loved it. We said I don't think that sort of comic gets any better than that. You know, and it's what, Ben Grimm is the heart of the Marvel universe, isn't he? He may not be the most popular character, but he's the dude. He's at the center. Without Marvel, without the Thing, it wouldn't be as rich a community and of characters. And it's sad. It's beautifully drawn by Kirby and Joe Sinnott. It's incredible. Yeah. That would be that one. And read by Stan. God bless Stan. That's a good story. Yeah.
What about you, Dan?
Fuck knows, man. That's really tough.
I think really for me, I'd want to read something that brings me joy or just puts a smile on my face.
And like memories as well, man. This is where it's at.
If it was going to be more of a modern sort of book, I'd pick up my Superior Foes of Spider-Man trade, because that always makes me laugh. Or some of the Boneyard by Richard Moore. That's a series that I always loved and always brought smiles to my face. Anything by Jamie Smart.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Jamie Smart.
You only get one. What are you doing?
I know, but I'm going to pick one.
Echoing Tony, I think I'd go back to like a childhood thing and like read something that kind of like my comic. It was the kind of nucleus of why I started reading comics and stuff.
What would that be, Dan?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe like an early issue of Toxic or something like that.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
just to pick a random. It have to be in the run and just sort of like relive some old memories.
Yeah. All right. I'll pick a volume of Bear by Jamie Smart, because that was one.
Okay.
There you go. That was one of the.
Yeah, good man.
And I'd be laughing until the world exploded.
It depends how we were ending the world. Is it the world ending? Because that's like.
It's our last day on Earth.
So it could just be us, couldn't it?
I'm thinking like Homer and Simpson eating the sushi.
He is coming to England, isn't he?
Yeah. So
I'm pissed I can't see him because I'm away. We clash.
Well,
I arrive back the day he leaves,
and there's all those trains. There's all those train strikes, which has kind of fucked me.
Absolutely fucked everything up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done, trains.
But if you're about and you're on the Slack, give Edison Neo a shout.
And Neo Comic Art. He's gonna be in London this coming week.
And going back, No Brainer 4. I backed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't he putting out? I was going to mention the shout outs. He's got one coming out, the collected edition.
Oh, what, Dragon Claws or No Brainer?
No Brainer.
Dragon Claws. Okay.
Snake Claws.
No, what's Snake Claws? Sorry.
Let me just double check that because I've got it in my notes. No Brainer. No Brainer.
No Brainer.
Okay, No Brainer 133 Comics Anthology. No, I don't think so. He did mention that something's coming up. I can't track it.
I think it's going to be a collection. The latest one's for issue 4.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that'll be with you in no time because he's another machine.
I think it looks like he's done it. Yeah, I think he's probably done it all. Yeah.
I think No Brainer issue 1 to 4 Comics Anthology. 24 days to go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Good.
Dave Hingley at Hingley_Dave says, I'm currently writing an autobiographic novel.
Sexy.
It won't be ready for ages. I would like to pitch it to a publisher like Avery Hill, but they would like some sample pages. What do you think is a good page size that I could use as a pitch or self-publish?
Does he mean like a physical page size?
I presume so, yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
Well, I think if you're pitching a publisher, you've got to look and see what else they've done, see what kind of size books they put out.
Yeah, Avery Hill has a variety of sizes.
It does vary.
And also it has to suit your... But they've also put out some auto-bio stuff, haven't they?
Yeah. But this is a fascinating question in terms of like... Dave, thank you for the question, Dave. He's obviously writing this graphic novel, but there's no finished pages as such.
Yeah.
It's also the planning stage of when you move on to the next section. then you
I
got.
mean, I don't even know if Avery Hill are taking submissions at the moment. I know they've got quite a full slate, but yeah.
Would you have like several pages of sample art completed with a script, and then you would have like an outlier for the entire book, saying this is what it's going to be about, these are the themes, etc.
A lot of people want to see 20 pages, don't they?
Okay.
Yeah, as part of it.
Is that 20? Is that really sort of like the standard?
If it's for a graphic novel, I think it is. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not a standard. That's a silly thing to say because it's different everywhere. But I've heard anecdotally of quite a few graphic novel publishers, if you see that sort of people, who want to see a substantial run and a proof of, they don't want to see 5 pages because a lot of people can do 5 pages. They want to see, they want to see more, and they want to see that it works. And
so, who could he approach besides Avery Hill in regards to doing a book like this?
I don't know, man. God bless Dave. I don't think the slate's 18 months ahead. There's no way. And that's the problem. A lot of these people have quite a long eye on stuff.
But if you're gonna self-publish, what's a good size? What do you think is a good sort of book size for people? And let's say the UK scene. Let's take the UK scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's traditionally, historically, we've always said, haven't we? If you're going to make a comic, make it American comic book size, because you can get it on the shelves. Because certain comic shops, their shelves are built for that size. Yeah. But I think the world's changed. The world's moved on a bit from that now. I mean, if you look at Forbidden Planet and Gosh and a few other places, their shelves are made for American comic books. But we're seeing all sorts of different sizes now, aren't we? I think it has to suit. The answer is it has to suit the artwork. I saw a book yesterday, which is the hot book at TCAF at the moment, which is a book by Molly Mendoza called Stray. And it's lovely, but it's A5. And I think Molly's artwork is so beautiful. It needs to be a bigger format. And so it depends on what you're showing on each page. If you've got like that big double page spread of like a street scene and whatever it's going to be, and you've really thrown yourself into the detail, then make it magazine size. Make it blow people away.
It was like Zoe Thorogood's debut novel, graphic novel, was a smaller size, wasn't it? And then I think they took a learning from it, and then they reprinted it bigger, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the lettering was a bit small, wasn't it? Do you remember? I think it was one of the criticisms we had about it was it was a bit too small to read. It's lovely, it looked lovely, but that's right. I remember. And
once again, artwork that needs. I mean, it's sometimes having an A5 is nice when you've got these details that can then be condensed, and it does add texture to it. But also, like Tony says, the art, sometimes you want it to breathe. You want it to have a bigger size canvas. Yeah,
and make it an interesting package. I mean, it's all about the shelf porn these days, isn't it? It's all about having it as a thing as opposed to the reading experience. Obviously, is number one, but having this nice package of a book. Because I mean, you two are graphic designers, so you have a wank fest over this sort of thing, don't you? Yeah. But you see, I know if I've heard you say it quite a few times, but it's like, look at this book. How gorgeous does that look? Yeah. Just as a book, I think that's important as well.
Yeah. Also, if it's a thick enough book, don't shortchange your spine.
Yeah.
Some people they have the design of the book and the spines look so basic, and when you have it on your shelf, sometimes you've got to really search for it.
Having something written is perfect bound on the spine. I think it's a must these days.
I said mediocre graphic design can really fucking won't do your book justice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I think we were shown an example the other day where the author had written something about themselves as a big long line, and then the last word of that line dropped over, and it was like an orphan underneath. And it's like that fucking sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, you were talking about that the other day, wasn't it? You were explaining the word orphan to me the other day.
It looks very, very
on the subject of designed. Yeah, on the subject of auto-buyer now, it's something we talked about on the Slack recently, and it's also something that's just completely coincidentally come up in a couple of conversations here amongst groups of people I know at TCAF, is auto-buyer comics. Now, I think Zoe Thorogood posted something about...
Sarah mentioned it.
That's it. She said something about if the reason not much happens in auto-buyer comics is because artists just sit at their desk doing nothing. Now, I don't particularly agree with that. There's a number of conversational points I want to talk about that. Firstly, let me say them both to you. Firstly, if you're going to do a comic, it has to be interesting, whether it's autobiographical or not. It shouldn't be just about you doing nothing. And I think secondly, she's probably wrong. But there's an awful lot of artists out there who have got extremely rich backstories and current lives and stuff like that make you got Noah Van Sciver is some of the stuff we see out there, Bob Fingerman, even if you want to talk about Crumb, this sort of thing, there's stuff out there that people do have interesting lives, and I find it slightly self-indulgent by people who think they'll just do an autobiography comic, but they don't have anything to say in it.
I agree.
Do you think there's something to be said, and it may sound strange, but when you see a biography, like a movie, an autobiography of a famous figure from history, it's always got that Hollywood sheen, or it's over dramatized, and clearly things didn't necessarily happen like this, but it's certainly more engaging to watch, because there's certain things that are probably a 2-hour meeting. In real life, it's just very quiet, but in this film, it's
the course of English history changed in this meeting. But probably the first part of it was, there was a bit of any other business. At the end, you don't include it all in there.
So is that think about that? If you're doing an autobiography comic, do you think that's something that maybe sometimes people should think about, rather than just went to a shop, bought some lunch?
There's also an area of pseudo autobiographical stuff. So if you look at Bob Fingerman stuff, it's about him, but he names the character someone else. So he can tell about meaning and parallels and metaphors and stuff through this other life. If you're gonna talk about, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. You can represent things with other things. So if you had an argument with someone, it could be, for example, a big battle in the army. There's metaphorical parallels, that you compare between things, and it's that imagination of stuff that it doesn't have to be. Oh, I got up this morning, I drew on my drawing board.
Because there's a difference between, I think, when people do this, if it's not a diary comic and it's autobiographical, and you're telling the story of your day-to-day or your life or things like that, you're a character. You then become more than you. Because if you're just writing, I did this, it's just a diary. And if you like reading diaries, that's fair enough. But, that's not necessarily supremely engaging all the time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But when you become a character, and we have this on on this podcast, we essentially become a little bit of a character ourselves.
We have, people think we are. We kind of are, but we're an exaggeration.
The horrible human beings that we are on a weekly basis. But when you're a character, there's a certain freedom to that. That then this person can be different, but also when people read it, they might think you're that person. So just be careful about that.
You can always do the Larry David approach, where kind of like he's taking observations that he's kind of seen and been through, and then work them into a kind of a comedy thing.
And I think I really do think you need to have something interesting. I mean, it sounds too simple to say out loud. You need to have something interesting to say in a comic to make it interesting. And if you haven't got anything interesting in it, don't just do an autobiography comic because you think you should. And I like Zoe's stuff, and I think she's a real up and comer. But I think she needs to have something to say. I'm going to say maybe Zoe, it's a bit early. If you break big and they invite you to San Diego and to do, to talk about your big comic, or, you win an Eisner, I'm sure she will one day, then I'd read an autobiography comic about her travels to San Diego to put, and how she met the Marvel editor. That sounds really interesting. Maybe it's not time yet, or maybe she's working on something that will evolve as her life evolves, which I think is fine. I
always wonder, like, if you kind of told these events to someone in the conversation, how would it go down? Like, if you told them some story about how your childhood trauma, that might be like one conversation. We said, like yesterday I went down the shops and they didn't have any of my tea bags, so I had to go down to Tesco's. And it's like, why are you telling me this? Like, this is vapid.
Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah, and I think also, in almost conversely, in a weird way, there's a poetry to our inner feelings that we don't show. So I think if you're going to do an autobiography comic, you need to dig deep. Jay Webster Sharp's the one I quoted previously, about this life she's got, and none of us fully, I don't know fully what goes on in your two guys' heads.
No.
Apart from when I'm telling a joke and you make those faces. But there's dig deep. You got to dig deep. That's why I've never tackled it, because I've got a lot. I'm an old man and I've done a lot of fucking bad things. I don't really want to put it on paper, but
No.
it's like there's a lot. You need to really, really have a poetry of expression and have that ability to dig deep and be honest and bare your soul to people when you're doing stuff. And I think the tweeness, I'm not saying this for Zoe at all, I'm just saying in general terms, the tweeness of autobio comics at the moment isn't enough. It's not the poetry that I'd like. And I don't mean poetry literally, I mean the beauty that can be expressed through a comic.
I understand.
There's not enough people doing it. Yeah.
That's well put. Yeah. That's well put.
And what a wonderful way to finish off the Q&A. There's a couple more.
I love finishing you off, boys. You know that.
a couple more we didn't get to, but Tony needs to have his bagels and his coffee. That's the way it all works.
Need to throw a few lines into the waitress.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. Drugs are for mugs. But before we get on to recommending a couple of things, do we have any shout-outs, gents?
I think I've done mine, guys. Yeah, mine was sort of part of my talk there.
I do, yes. And I've got my documente right here. I've clicked the wrong fucking thing.
Documente.
Right, let me just find the Google document that I called up, and I've hidden it somewhere else. So if you just filibuster for a second, why?
Filibuster.
Right, okay, yes, I've got it. So we've got the Legend of Mariposa Vulcan Challenge. It launches on July 1st from James Lawrence. So this...
I would say hold off on that, Dan.
Why is that?
Because I may be talking about that in a minute.
Oh, okay.
So okay, all right.
That's coming July 1st.
Yeah.
We've got Skrawl issue 2, the Comics Mag. Skrawl 2, a comics magazine featuring the Skrawl Lords and special guest comics interviews, features, and Skrawl. That's
going to be another gloriously looking magazine. That is
25 days ago when you hear this. It's charging towards its target.
Cool.
Yeah, great. First one was an absolute fucking unit.
One.
Yeah.
Absolute They've got quite a high target, haven't they? But I'm willing to bet they're going to double it.
Yeah, I got to say, Martin Simpson's work, it's just fucking unreal. It's just lovely. He posted that picture of the chap like lighting a cigarette with a match, and like the glow on his face. It's just lovely stuff.
Isn't it? Yeah,
really good. There are quite a few names in this one as well. Jordan Thomas, Shirley Bond, David Rubin, Aaron Sherwood. Yeah,
Rubin's great, man. Yeah,
they're all in there.
Yeah. Well, not saying the others aren't, but yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And that's not to mention Gustavo Vargas, Pete Taylor, Mark Hughes, Nick Prolix, Martin Simpson, Mark Russell Olsen.
Oh, Prolix doing comics again. I must message him, see what he's up to. Yeah.
I've been keeping up with his Instagram stuff on him doing floors and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
God, I love putting in a good floor.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think that's me on the shout-outs.
Right, okay. So without further ado, should we recommend some stuff?
Guys, would you mind terribly if I recommended the first one and then I disappear? I'll tell you why. I keep having to mute because the air conditioning started in here and it sounds like there's a fucking steam train in my room. So I might do mine and then
go for it. Go for it too. Yeah.
Would that be okay?
Totally cool.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So my one is a book called Cherry, which I picked up in the Beguiling on Friday morning. It's published by Kilgore Books, drawn and written by Ines Estrada, who's a female Mexican creator. It's adults only, cardstock paper, black and white inside, and it's got a color cover. Now it's got that thing. It's an utter impulse buy. This thing. It's got this thing. It's punk as fuck. This book, and it's got a photograph of some sort of grotty flats office building with car parking underneath. So it's a photograph over the cover. But what Ines has done is she's drawn the female character on top of the photograph. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't know why. It just really reminds me of 80s and 90s small press and underground for that reason. Now, we've talked a lot about using photographs in the backgrounds, but this is just showing it, having it on its sleeve. And there's something about it that just makes it look like a DIY thing. I kind of quite like that. And that's one of the reasons I bought it. I sort of impulse bought it because it's got the strong image. The female color character on the front looks like almost like an underground version of a Jamie Hewlett character, if that makes sense. She's a girl and she's got a sort of fishnet top on, short pink punk hair, and a manky old yellow hoodie on. Little tiny bit of a manga character, very smally. And it follows this girl who calls herself Cherry, and she's in her 20s, and she's sitting at her desk. I think she's working in some shitty office, and she gets a phone call from a doctor who tells her that she has 4 to 6 months to live. So you get the impression that this girl isn't well hinged anyway. You know, she's not completely on a level mentally, and she decides just on a whim, right, fuck now, I always want to go to Iceland. I'm going to go to Iceland. Yeah. So but she also then looks at her bank account and thinks, I've got no money. So she says, how am I going to get money? So she thinks, right, I'm going to go out and do a robbery in the street. So she goes out into the park, right? This is where it gets a bit more punk, a bit more transgressive. And this woman runs past her, who she holds a knife to, and says, oh, give me your money. And the woman gets a little bit sexually excited by this moment. So she starts getting off with her in the park,
Okay.
which is quite a full-on tongue-driven image. And then afterwards, she steals her money anyway. And then it basically says 2 weeks later, and there's a picture of an airplane flying over Iceland, you know. And she gets involved in a number of strange incidents in Iceland. It's only a short indie A5 comic, this, you know. And she meets some mad woman who gives her a lift, and she ends up wanting to go to one of these hot springs, falls asleep at the hot springs, and wakes up covered in snow and gets rescued by this man. And it turns out the man used to be in a post-punk band in New York, and he's got these photographs of him with, you know, punks of the time and, you know, Sex Pistols and stuff. And of course, what does she do? She immediately has sex with him. And Ines, God bless her, she does a full page image of a close-up of the man's fat penis on this one page, which I have to say, I thought, that's a bit much like this. And it's just, I won't ruin the ending, but it's got a perfect ending, and it's just like a single one-off. It's a little nuts, to be fair. And it's the sort of thing that I don't want, when I'm on holiday and stuff like this, when I'm going in a foreign comic shop, especially ones in the States and now Canada, I just want to pick one up that will just remind me a little bit of the trip. You know, it's not necessarily a series or a long read. It's just this sort of crazy thing. And I do think, when I think about my first trip to the Beguiling, I'll think of this mad comic. Yeah. Yeah, pretty good. Really enjoyed
Fantastic. Yeah.
That's my one. Cherry by Ines Estrada. If you go to, it was on the Strangers distro, so if you go to strangers.com, strangersfanzine.com, you should be able to find a copy. If not, you'll be able to find the links to it.
Lovely. And where can they find you and your stuff, Tony?
If you go to neveronanything.com, there you go.
There you go.
Boom.
Yeah. Thanks for that, guys. It's just it's freezing in the room now, and it's like,
No worries, man.
Yeah.
it's just stopped again. Is it? Can you hear it?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
No.
Yeah.
But,
sorry about that.
Yeah. Bugger
No
off,
worries.
and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Love you guys.
Take it easy, T.
Pod lawnmower. There you go. How's that?
Lovely.
You can edit that in later.
Yeah. Bye.
Good. I'll text you in a bit, guys. See you later. Thanks for that. See you soon. Bye.
Right, we'll wait until
Absolutely lovely to speak to Tony.
Yes. Now that he's gone, how do we really feel about him, Dan?
Right. Crack knuckles.
Right. No, great to see he's doing well over in Toronto. I'll tell you what, I've always wanted to go to Toronto.
Yeah, same, man.
Yeah.
Kind of
not just for TCAF either, but yeah. But I think if I do ever make it over there, the Beguiling is definitely a place.
Never been to Canada, and it's one of those places I would love to go to.
Yeah.
My wife keeps on saying we should move there, but I was like, no.
Why no? Why such a strong no?
I just kind of, I think it's that whole thing of like, oh, look how great Canada is. And it's like, well, you take all your problems with you, don't you?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, we go to this golden place where there's no problems whatsoever. It's a utopia. So there's going to be shit wherever you go. So
next time on Positivity Corner with Dan Butcher.
glance into the make your world around you great as it is. Don't worry. Don't try and leave for better places.
Oh,
I'm not saying it. Yeah. Not saying that to war-torn refugees. So.
My God.
Now. Should I tell you about my recommendation?
Do it then.
It's Limits from Hardline Comics, written by Rich Carrington and art by one of my favourite small press artists, Lee Gaston.
Is this the I've been seeing like a character sort of concept and stuff, these little panels, and
I think it's ready to go. Is it now on Kickstarter or is it already funded on Kickstarter? If I bloody totally missed it. Notify and launch. It's yet to go live. But fortunately, because I know Rich quite well, he sent me a copy to read before, and it's great. I really enjoyed it. It's such a fantastic comic. Essentially, I don't want to give away too much of the story, but the main character, Sam Carter, he gets a gift, these power bands, which gives him Superman-like powers. But after a short while of using them, he realizes they've got a power gauge on them, and with no way to power them up, it deals with the fact that he goes from, I can use these whenever I want, to the point where it's like, fuck, I've hardly got any power left in these. What am I going to do? And it's a real kind of classic superhero tale, but told through kind of like a modern lensing. And it's a really good read, quite bittersweet, I would say. Really well done. And Lee Gaston's art is just top notch.
Yeah.
I really love this guy's stuff. And
what else has he worked on?
He's done like loads of pin-up stuff. He's done some fan art for Vanguard. That's how sort of came to my attention. He did some fan art stuff. There's one where one of the characters, Kate, gets like a massive, great big spike rammed through his chest, and he did a pin-up of him sort of saying, "Hope this isn't him dying," essentially, which is always a possibility. But it's kind of a great title. I don't want to talk about too much in case of spoil the sort of the experience of reading the comic for yourself. But it's kind of got like a load of golden age sort of tropes in it, but kind of with this nice, really well done twist delivered as you go through.
Awesome.
So lovely clean artwork by Gaston. Go check it out. Go sign up for it. I have to put the link in the show notes for where to go for that.
Nice. Well, I've got one main one, well, two sort of mini ones really, and both of them are wrestling based. Yes.
Hooray.
Definitely need to do a wrestling episode of this show very soon. Yes, the first one, as Dan mentioned before, The Legend of La Mariposa, Vulcans Challenge by James Lawrence, the mighty James Lawrence, who after I think there was a little break from La Mariposa, and we spoke to him way back in the day about the book. He's just been churning out like sort of new content for it, and just absolutely smashing it out of the park with these graphic novels that he's launching on Kickstarter. And this one is basically, it's a follow-up to what's the name of the one before? Shame on me, I can't remember that, because you got that book as well, didn't you, Dan?
I did, yeah.
The Climb and Other Stories. Yes, as James says in the introduction, it was produced with two objectives in mind: resolving a plot thread from The Climb and Other Stories, and actually having a conventional wrestling match, sort of, in a standard ring, sort of. Because the thing about a lot of wrestling comics, especially with La Mariposa as well, it's a character that straddles that grappling but over the top magic and crazy like almost animate. It's like a total sort of animation show, speed lines and just over the top action, which is part of the joy of it and the beauty of it. And not many people can do the actual wrestling moves in a comic like James can. I think partly because the wonderful character design and the sort of cartoony nature of their style, it makes the moves look like they hurt even more.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense? You know what I mean? It's it has a sort of Street Fighter energy to it as well, if that makes sense. But the story of this one prize, 15 luchadors, summoned to save an old friend from himself. La Mariposa finds herself caught up in a contest of champions, contained in the crumbling confines of a collapsed coliseum. Will our purple powerhouse triumph over the odds? Can her friendship survive the challenge? What secrets lie behind the mask of Vulcan? And this is a battle royale comic. The classic, loads of wrestlers get into the ring and they're all knocked out over the top rope one by one, but it's not your standard sort of ring, because like I say, this is in a coliseum. Vulcan himself looks like a Trojan warrior from hell, and there's loads of classic sort of characters, sort of like cartoonish wrestling characters, some who are from the previous books. There is also one from gotta make sure I get this right, from Josh Hicks's Glorious Wrestling Alliance. There is a guest star from another wrestling book.
Oh, that's awesome. There's a couple of
this.
wrestling comics, aren't there?
Yeah. Glorious Wrestling Alliance is another one of the classic one. And his main character, Great Carp, who is a sort of luchador that looks like he's got a fish for a head, is in this book. So I won't spoil to see how well they do in the battle royale, but it's well worth your time. For me, La Mariposa is one of the best individual characters on the independent sort of comic scene, certainly in the UK. It's an absolutely phenomenal sort of character that you can follow. I mean, she is absolutely rife for fan art as well. And there's, we were very fortunate enough to get a review copy of this. Like I said, the Kickstarter's going beginning of July, isn't it, Dan? I think it's kicking off. You said
yes, yeah.
So I absolutely blasted through it. It's about 64 pages. The book is going to be. Back it, get it. I'm actually going to back the physical copy because I've got a little collection of La Mariposa now. So yeah. Gonna be good. No,
yeah, my boy loves them.
Yeah, it's great. It's an all ages book as well, isn't it? Really,
definitely. Yeah,
it's definitely a lot of fun. It's almost like you're reading a cartoon. You know what I mean?
If you your kid loves the Phoenix stuff like that, you'll absolutely be in your element here.
Yeah. But yeah, wonderful kinetic energy for that. So sign up to be notified of that. I don't know whether James will have copies of the older books available. You may have some books available, and sometimes with Kickstarters you can double up and buy some other books as well. So if you haven't got any of this series, now is the time to get on it. And I just wanted to give a small shout out. I've just started reading, but I know it's going to break my heart and probably some bones at the same time, because this week was the release of Do a Powerbomb from Mr. Daniel Warren Johnson. Doing a comic book that may be one of the closest things to his heart, because he is a massive wrestling fan. So definitely going to try and get him back on the
cover
show.
And the colouring by Mike Spicer on that is fucking great. Yeah.
Daniel Warren Johnson, Mike Spicer on colours, Russ Wotton on letters, and there's a variant cover by James Harron. If you see this on your sort of rounds, get hold of it, because just the whole thing is going to be brilliant and heartbreaking, but amazing and kinetic and full of action, and a proper wrestling comic, I think, which his artwork's just properly made for. So I'll probably talk a bit more about that as it goes on, but I think that's actually a series that it's another one of those. Finally a series I can subscribe to.
Yeah,
I don't have a regular series at the moment. I don't know about you.
No, I don't. I pretty much get everything trades now. I'd like dip in, get the first issue, go, like this, and then I'll just wait till the trade comes out and get it like that.
And because of the nonsense with purchasing digital comics for the most part, I actually got this from the Amazon store / Comixology just because I wanted to read it.
Fair enough.
And it's
I just don't go on that anymore.
No, me neither. I just remembered it was out because he tweeted about it, and I desperately wanted to read it. That's why I've bought it. And I will continue to buy it via this medium, because it wasn't. I didn't see it openly on the shelves when I was there. You know, in UK stores there may not be many copies of it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I had to do a search for it because it wasn't. Oh, here's the highlighted new releases. It's not really though. It's just ones that tie into your algorithm, isn't it?
That's what's annoying. That they fucked that up.
Yeah. So, but Do a Powerbomb. Seek it out if you like wrestling. You need it. If you like brilliant art, you need it. And if you like
DWJ,
and if you like Daniel Warren Johnson, well, you're just a normal human being with good taste.
Who doesn't? Yeah, man, that fucking guy's great.
Yeah. And we hope you enjoyed this week's episode. We were recording a little bit early, so me and Dan are going to go off, and we have lovely ploughmans in the sun, aren't we, Dan? We're just going to sit down, have a romantic picnic together.
That'd be amazing, yeah. It's not that sunny where I am, I've got to say.
The sun was out and it's gone in a bit now.
I've no problem with that. I've fucking had enough.
I've had enough. Yeah.
Turn it in.
Like yesterday we went out and I was like, oh, glorious rain. Oh, glorious
I mean, back
rain.
to weather chat. We had like the loudest thunderstrike I've ever heard in my entire life last night.
Really? You thought the gods had finally come back?
there's like a rumbling for about 10 seconds, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then
yeah,
bang.
Normally,
now's my Saturday night.
I tell you what, that last bit of dialogue is a one-page comic in itself. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Next week, it's going to be me and Dan. Who knows? We may rope in someone else, and we'll have an extra little interview for you as well. Perhaps
don't forget the drinking draw this Friday.
Yes, the drinking draw.
Going to be coming live from the Heroes Con.
Well, Tony, they'll turn up for a bit, and then they'll probably lose their signal, and then it'll disappear.
Yeah, worth it.
But definitely join in just to be around some lovely people as well. There's awesome people at our drinking draws, so please join us. And if there's anything you want us to talk about, or perhaps we've said something you thought, oh, that would be a great way to market your comic, get in touch with us, because we want to talk about it. We want to get the word out about things. You can email us awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @TheAwesomePod. We'll be retweeting, shouting about things, occasionally putting out a post sort of saying for audience interaction. So stay tuned. Just stay tuned to the Twitter for that. It's the only reason you should go on social media is to follow our accounts. If you do Facebook, go to facebook.com/awesomecomicspodcast. There's the community group Awesome Comics Talk, which is full of wonderful people, as is the Awesome Comics Podcast Slack group, which has loads of different channels and topics and discussions. We are forever grateful and thankful to the wonderful community that has sprung up with this show, and lots of nice people just connecting with each other and just wanting to talk about comics and spread positivity, because that's what we need more of in this world. Thank you very much for listening to us, whether it was on the website awesomecomics.podbean.com. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe and leave a review. Helps get the word out about the show and the amazing stuff we talk about every week. And usually, sometimes we bully each other as well. We're on places like Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, Podnose, Podknife. What other networks are we on, Dan?
Tony said one.
I know he said one, but what one do you think?
God, I don't know.
The God Network.
Pod Weather Chat.
Pod Weather Chat.
That's poor.
That is. Come on, Dad. Got to be on it. Improv, my man. Improv. But where can people find you online, etc.?
You can find me on Twitter @Vanguard Comic, and you can read Vanguard at vanguardcomic.com. And you can also support me on the Patreon @Vanguard Comic.
Dan, I know over the past few weeks and months, you'd be like, oh, it's really kicking, it's going to be kicking off soon. It's going to be doing this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
I get so. Yours is one of the only comics. I'm truly terrified of what's going to. I don't know what's going to happen from page to page. It's thrilling, but also,
oh man,
you're brutal, man.
There's an ending coming up that the ending in this issue. There's seeds I've been planting all the way through the comic that it's going to be revealed, and some readers might have thought, I kind of thought that might be the case, but actually it's two big things. So stay tuned. Can't wait to see reader reaction.
Blimey. Do you normally get a strong reader reaction, like when something?
Yeah, you get messages. People sort of send me stuff and sort of say, "Wow, didn't see that."
Yeah,
you get a weird hit because you get the comic, and then when I release it in print, you also get it again.
Oh, I suppose you get that sort of hit, and but when you release it in print, it must be oh yeah, I did that, didn't I?
Yeah, it's all the time
because you're putting out so much content. There must be moments where you forget that the content you've done.
Yeah, I've kind of written notes for stuff that's coming up. I go, oh fuck me, I did that, and then you look back for it. Oh shit,
because you're constantly moving forward, aren't you? You just have to keep going. And even though your work is built on the back of the things you've done before, you won't always necessarily remember all of those little details because you're concentrating on the next
not
details.
at all.
Yeah,
I fucking did a load of. It's got that Max character in this, and I drew.
I hate that prick.
Yeah, he's supposed to be hated, but I haven't done him with his eyepiece on.
Yeah.
And he's had his eye gouged out, so he's got that thing on, but I didn't draw that in. So I had to go back and redo that. It's just because I hadn't drawn him in half a year.
Yeah. Bloody hell.
Easy to forget those little details.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's awesome though. VanguardComic.com.
Cheers, Vince.
You can follow me on social media @JesterTheDiablo. Thank you as always for listening. wherever you are in the world. We hope you're happy, healthy. Tony loves you very much. He loves you so much. He actually said to us before we started recording,
I love the readers, listeners so much.
Please tell them all how much I love them.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't do it justice because it was so poetic, Dan. We actually cried.
Such an emphatic plea from Tony.
I cried. It was
not in my throat. It was kind of.
It was what? It was a very emotional time. So Tony, I hope we did your emotional plea justice. Me and Dan, we love you very much as well.
He's probably tucking into. I was going to say Canadian bacon, but he's a vegetarian, so Tony wouldn't be doing that.
No, I had vegan ham for the first time the other day.
Okay, what'd you think? Just
tasted like smoke, and it looked like clay. Big shout out to all you vegans out there. I hope you're doing all right. I've got a lot of friends who are vegan, actually. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Yeah, thank you for listening. We hope you have a brilliant week. Read loads of comics, make loads of comics. And what should they do, Dan?
Stay awesome.
There you go. I don't have to worry about the sounds marrying up because you just absolutely nailed it. Bye, everyone.
Smashed it. See you later.
Smashed it. Just went and smashed it. Yeah.